It's 10:20. Means it's 4:20 somewhere. If you got one, spark up. So, Sunday night rant night. However, it's gonna be with a little twist, because this is a good video that kind of plays in to what I want to talk about, which is New York City Mayor De Blasio's new policy that I'm really hoping doesn't take hold, and that is, proof of your Fauci juice to get into anything, which is an illusion of a choice. And this video that somebody put together happens to be called George Carlin, The Illusion of Choice. So let's play this right quick.
We like war. We're a warlike people. We like war because we're good at it. And you know why we're good at it? Because we get a lot of practice. This country's only 200 years old, and already we've had 10 major wars. We average a major war every 20 years in this country, so we're good at it. And it's a good thing we are. We're not very good at anything else anymore. Huh? Can't build a decent car, can't make a TV set or a VCR worth the fuck. Got no steel industry left, can't educate our young people, can't get health care to our old people, but we can bomb the shit out of your country, all right? Especially if your country is full of brown people. That's our new job in the world, bombing brown people. Iraq, Panama, Grenada, Libya, you got some brown people in your country, tell them to watch the fuck out, or we'll goddamn bomb them. Well, when's the last white people you can remember that we bombed? Can you remember the last white? Can you remember any white people we've ever bombed? The Germans, those are the only ones, and that's only because they were trying to cut in on our action. They wanted to dominate the world. Bullshit, that's our fucking job. And you probably noticed I don't feel about...
So, good point to stop. Just to... so everyone can see this list of the U.S. bombing campaign. Tragic thing is, some of these countries, they make it on here multiple times. Watch out, Sylvester. But yeah, and this doesn't even count. Like, this is just countries we bombed. This doesn't include, like, in 1952, which isn't on here, when I believe it was Operation Paperclip. Could be getting that wrong, but the one where we overthrew the elected president of Iran and replaced him with the Shah. That's not on here. Neither is giving... then the Shah was eventually overthrown by the people in 1979. At which point we gave Iraq, Saddam Hussein, chemical weapons to go to war with Iraq. That's not on here. The only thing Iran's on here is in 1987. But it gives some perspective to the whole situation, where when the U.S. tries to play the victim, like, oh, Iran shot down one of our drones that was within 50 miles of their border, because we know we would happily let Iran build a base down across the border of Mexico and fly drones around. So there is a lot of hypocrisy. Again, though, this wasn't supposed to be about foreign policy. But yeah, this is just a nice little list. Like I said, it doesn't even include all the other stuff that we've done. Whether it's been coups or funding other countries to go And the other thing I'd like to point out is Afghanistan and Iraq, 2001 and 2003. We're still there. And we can add several more countries onto that list after those years. We are still in each one. We're about to be hit 20 years. And we won't be leaving anytime soon. Let's keep going.
That war, the way we were told we were supposed to feel about that war, the way we were ordered and instructed by the United States government to feel about that war. My mind doesn't work that way. I got this real moron thing I do. It's called thinking. And I'm not a very good American because I like to form my own opinions. I don't just roll over when I'm told to. Sad to say, most Americans just roll over on command. Not me. I have certain rules.
Now, when it comes to the Fauci juice, there's a video going around, and I wish I kind of would have thought about it to have it ready so I could play that one too, where it shows Biden, Kamala Harris, and Governor Cuomo talking about the Fauci juice before the election, where they were all in absolute refusal to take it. As are a bunch of other, people who are paid by the DNC to run propaganda on Twitter and whatnot, as well as just the other hardcore blue anon people. They were all in refusal to take the Fauci juice when it was going to come out under Trump. So apparently Biden winning the election came with a change of heart. Still the same Fauci juice. Nothing changed there. But literally, just the election changed everyone's opinions overnight. And even the CDC director on Friday, said flat out, the Fauci juice will not prevent you from spreading. If all it does is suppress the symptoms, if anything, that makes you more dangerous, because that means you could be spreading and you don't even know because you don't have symptoms. However, I get it. Some people are older. Not in the greatest of health. By all means, get the juice. Especially older people, long-term effects aren't going to have that much effect on you, because you're already up there in age. But I mean, you need that extra protection. By all means, go for it. But this was never meant to make it disappear. Pharmaceutical companies don't work that way. Back in March, Pfizer was talking about jacking up the rates when we hit the endemic stage. But yeah, there's a lot of people who they just march into the tune like that's it. When certain people were against it, they were against it. Now that those people are pushing it, they're 100% for it, and then you are a evil grandmother killer if you do not want it. So this picture that's up here on the screen right now, that sheet, yeah. If that applies to you, that's you.
My first rule, I don't believe anything the government tells me. Nothing. Zero. No. And I don't take very seriously the media or the press in this country, who in the case of the Persian Gulf War were nothing more than unpaid employees of the Department of Defense, and who most of the time function as kind of an unofficial public relations agency for the United States government. So I don't listen to them. I don't really believe in my country. And I gotta tell you folks, I don't do it.
since we're talking about CIA operations, there was Operation Mockingbird, which they don't even really need anymore. Because now, the CNNs and the MSNBCs of the world, now they're just hiring people straight out of the CIA. As if there would be no bias reporting whatsoever. Yeah. And that's why you have things like the Russian bounty story, which turned out to be fake. Go figure.
Choked up about yellow ribbons and American flags. I consider them to be symbols, and I leave symbols to the symbol-minded.
And I'm talking about, forget these foolish elections, the upper class and lower class young men, or that. A war is, rich old men.
Jesus.
And I'm talking about the fact that a war is rich old men protecting their property by sending middle class and lower class young men off to die. Forget these foolish elections. The owners of this country don't care about the poor in general.
Owners of this country. What are we going? Is this Karl Marx talking to me? The owners of this country are the voters of this country.
No, you're wrong about that, my friend.
Aren't the owners of this country the voters in this country?
No, they're not. Listen, politics, these elections are a charade.
Whoever put this video together did a hell of a job. They kept all the additional things in sequential. When he was talking about the bombings, you saw the things from bombs, TVs, and now you got flashing the symbols of all the owners.
Charade. It is. They are meant to. Well, I'll tell you. Just listen for a minute. Learn a little something. The elections and politicians are in place in order to give Americans the illusion that they have freedom of choice. You don't really have choice in this country. All the things that are important, reduced in choice. Newspapers in a city, how many? Used to be 3, 4, now it's 1 or 2 that are owned by the same people, and they also own a radio station. Give these people a voting day every year so that they'll have the illusion of meaningless choice. Meaningless choice that we go like slaves and say, I voted. The limits of debate in this country are established before the debate even begins, and everyone else is marginalized. They're made to seem either to be communists or some sort of disloyal person. A kook, there's a word, and now it's conspiracy. See, they've made that something that should not be even entertained for a minute. That powerful people might get together and have a plan. Doesn't happen. You're a kook. You're a conspiracy buff. A conspiracy buff.
Not as a result of a conspiracy, but
you
because...
don't need a formal conspiracy when interests converge. These people went to the same universities and fraternities. They're on the same boards of directors. They're on the same country clubs. They have like interests. They don't need to call a meeting. They know what's good for them, and they're getting it. And there used to be 7 oil companies. There are now 3. It will soon be 2. The things that matter in this country have been reduced in choice. There are 2 political parties. There are a handful of insurance companies. There are about 6 or 7 information things. But if you want a bagel, there are 23 flavors because you have the illusion. You have the illusion of choice. Right. You don't get the real important choice. There's no freedom of choice. That's a great point.
And nobody seems to notice, nobody seems to care. That's what the owners count on. The fact that Americans will probably remain willfully ignorant of the big red, white, and blue dick that's being jammed up their assholes every day. Because the owners of this country know the truth. It's called the American dream, because you have to be asleep to believe it.
A lot to unpack with this. I've always said, if we could vote to end the wars or vote to prosecute Wall Street executives who bankrupt the country, by committing crimes, we wouldn't have a vote no more. Sorry, my cat's going crazy. But yeah, we wouldn't have a vote. You know, if we could if we could have big change, we wouldn't. You know, we have a choice between the corporate approved. You know, yeah, they'll let a few. You know, you'll get a few like your AOCs and types like her on the Democrat side, and then you'll get your Thomas Massey's, your Marjorie Taylor Greene. You'll get a couple of those on the Republican side to give a few, to give the illusion that you have people who are in there and they're gonna truly fight for your interests. When in reality, they're just sheep herding you to the party, keeping you there, making you not seek out a third option. Oh, we got to get them more support. So that way and half of them don't even believe the bullshit they're saying. They just know what words to use. It's all marketing. Back in December, comedian Jimmy Dore pushed this idea of forcing the vote for Medicare for all. Me personally, I don't trust a dysfunctional government that doesn't give a fuck about us to run our healthcare system. So we would need some significant change there before I could get behind that. But it was, a foolproof plan essentially. And, withhold your vote for Nancy Pelosi as Speaker of the House, which has no consequence, except she has to negotiate with you to get the vote. And, they didn't do it. They did. They had a perfect opportunity. The squad, they could have held their votes and said, nope, we want our floor vote for Medicare for all. Otherwise, we're not voting. And they all ran on it. They ran the list of excuses as to why they just voted for Nancy Pelosi. And it's the same on the Republican side, too. Like I said, there's no real difference between either of the parties. They have lines drawn with culture war things where they can keep the people arguing, and they have managed to pretty much turn everything into it, even the Fauci juice. Me personally, I've always had the same opinion from day one. When they say, oh yeah, we'll have it ready in a few months, I said, I won't take it. Biden got in office. For me, that didn't change my opinion. For a lot of people, it did. Which just goes to show you how, like George Carlin said, like they got us conditioned, man. It's roll over on command. Even when you look at what happened last summer, the things that sparked last summer haven't stopped, but the actions have. There's pull strings involved in that. But it'll be back again. We got midterms coming up. I'm sure we'll start to see, probably next summer, we'll see some action. And then we'll see it again in 2 more years after that. And no real change that actually needs to be done will get done. But back to what I really wanted to talk about. Mayor De Blasio and his Fauci juice requirement to pretty much go anywhere indoors. This is dangerous. And it's the, like it's, for this video, it's the illusion of a choice. It's a mandate without a mandate. Oh no, the government, we're not mandating you do it. We're just mandating nobody lets you inside unless you do it. You know, so a lot of people are gonna lose jobs. Um, Actually, here in Vancouver, by the hospital yesterday, there was a couple hundred hospital employees outside protesting a similar mandate within the hospital, and pretty much all of them has stated, like, you know, we're protesting because otherwise we're going to lose our jobs if we don't overturn this. And yeah, there's been several states where people are taking this stand. Now, the big thing with this is they're healthcare workers, and they're willing to lose their job to not take this shit. You know, I don't know what their motives are. I would sure like to talk to some of them. If I see that they're going to be out again, I will definitely go to visit them, talk to them. I'm curious onto their opinions as to why they are even refusing, given their field. You know, you'd figure that would be the one field that would be 100% on the ball, ready to go with it. But it's not. But I've also seen articles of people being denied access to a hospital because they didn't have the Fauci juice in other states. But in New York, anything indoors. If you want to live outside of your house, you know, go to a bar, go to a club, go to a restaurant, go to a movie theater, go to anything in New York City, you gotta have that pass. You know, and how many of those employees? See, this is, and there is some backlash coming to this, because we are already in a time where there's help wanted signs everywhere. Especially, I went out to the coast. I really had to sit there and debate. The last time I was at the coast, and I literally saw a help wanted sign on every building, every business. Didn't matter what it was. Every business had a help wanted sign. And it was real tempting to be like, well, shoot. Do I come out here? Live out here? Work out here? Don't know what the money would be like in the wintertime, which is why I kind of thought against it. But, you know, a lot of these employers probably also know, like, shoot, this type of a mandate, one, I'm going to lose business. Two, I'm going to lose employees, which are already hard to get right now. So, and then you did have the mayor in Boston, who is also a Democrat. Sorry, my cat keeps messing with things. But, yeah. You have the mayor in Boston, who is also a Democrat, who, I want to say she compared it to, I'm going to say she at least compared it to slave papers, or something along that lines. Possibly 30s and 40s Germany. I can't remember off the top of my head, but she came out hard against it. You know, which is a good sign, because I ain't gonna lie, I'm a little, Governor Inslee here in Washington hasn't exactly done much to go against the grain when it comes to this stuff. So if that becomes something that gets real popular, shit, I may end up out of a job. And then I'll have to just, you know, move to a state where I know there's less opportunity of that happening. That's a lot of hassle. And again, it's a mandate without a mandate. Because if they just came out with a law and said, this is the law, you have to get it, you know, we're going to come to your door, they know that would erupt in chaos. So they'll never do it like that. Instead, they'll do it like this. Oh, yeah, you can't go here. You can't go here. You can't go here. You can't go here. You can't do this. You can't do that. To pretty much force you into it willingly. It's still coercion. Whether they're coming up and putting a gun to your head, or whether they're just saying you'll have absolutely no life. It's still coercion. And, we are tiptoeing. Well, one could argue we are already at tyranny. But what's scary is I feel we are not far out from, like I was joking when I had seen that China had a social credit score. I was like, oh, we'll have that in 20 years. 20 years tops, we'll have a system like that. And then I saw the Black Mirror episode where they have the social credit score, and I was like, shit, we might. And especially with everything that's been going on over the past few years, it's looking like we might get there closer. Especially if we continue to just lay down and give up our rights. They're gonna just continue to go and take more. But yeah, I guess the big moral of the story is, don't just roll over. Ask questions. Like I said, I'm not telling anybody one way or another what to do when it comes to regard to the Jews. But we gotta quit trying to stigmatize other people's choices, and then we also gotta, like, it's in France and Italy and a couple other places, they have that New York City style of thing. And in Italy, there's actually a video you can find where a lot of people who got the Jews, they're burning their passports in solidarity with the protesters who don't have it. So hoping if something crazy like that comes about, or more lockdowns or anything like that, I'm hoping people start to start not complying. Authoritarianism can only take place if we allow it. You can either pave the road for them and say, here you go, right down here. Or we can get in the road and block the road. I prefer the latter. I actually watched a podcast with the Joe Rogan podcast with, I don't want to get her name wrong. Let's see. Ianomi Park. Let me double check because I do not want to get her name wrong. It was a very powerful episode. I highly recommend watching it. If you have Spotify, I definitely recommend checking it out. It was, cause she was one of the, she's the girl who escaped from North Korea and just, yeah, Yeonmi Park is her name. It was uploaded last Tuesday. But yeah, her journey and what she experienced, what she lived through, it was a real powerful episode. Put a lot of things into perspective, especially a lot of, some of the problems people have just don't even compare to like what's going on in the world, So, and it also gives you a sense of gratefulness to be in the position that we're in, where shit's fucked up, but it could be way worse. And if we don't pay attention, we could end up in a similar situation. So definitely, that was definitely worth a watch. That's my little reaction rant for the night. If you have anything to say, please leave something in the comments. I would love to interact with anybody who has opinions on the matter. Other than that, have a nice night. Thanks for watching. Stay blazing.